Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
If you're looking to level up your surfing, JWC has got a couple of ways to get you moving forward. I'm running in-person surf coaching sessions here in Portugal with flexible dates, so if you're traveling through or planning a trip, we can lock in a few sessions and work on exactly what your surfing needs. And thanks to our collaboration with SurfRec, the AI robotic filming system now operating in Ribeira de Ilhas and Carcavelos, you can get footage of your sessions. Just send me 5 clips and I break down every detail for you. But even if you're not in Portugal, no problem. You can send me up to 5 waves from anywhere in the world. Surf trip to Indo, comp heats, or your local surf break. Even wave pools. If you got the footage, I'm happy to analyze it. If you want to dive deeper into SurfRec, check out our Podcast Portugal episode 50 with Zé Ferreira. To book surf coaching sessions, to find out more about our immersive surf training camp schedule, online video analysis program, and special JWC rates for using SurfRec, head to justinwestcoaching.com. Direct links in the show notes. This is Justin West from Podcast Portugal. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Paula Cosme Pinto. I'm hoping I pronounced the middle part Cosme correctly.
It was perfect, Justin.
It was perfect. Yay. Okay, great. I'm learning. She's a former journalist at Expresso, one of Portugal's main weekly newspapers. And now she's working in PR and does some opinion columns and writing for various different outlets. And her focus is a lot on sort of gender and sort of the wider social themes. Anna, big warm welcome. Paula. Now in my mind, big warm welcome to you.
Well, thank you, Justin. What a pleasure.
I really appreciate your time, and I know you're very busy. And we took a while to organize this interview, but I think all good things, come to those who wait a little bit. And so I
agree with you.
Can you tell me a little bit about your journey from journalism at Expresso and to your current work as a communications consultant and creator, really?
Well, yeah, it seems like I have 2 different professional lives. Most of the people who know me from the public space and the media outlets, they know me about my opinion articles and my work related to gender equality, which is not what I do as a full-time job, as I'm a PR consultant for hotels and Michelin restaurants. So it's a completely different professional life. But the gender equality advocacy takes a big part in my life for almost 15 years now. Um, so I do write opinion about it. I have 2 podcasts in a national radio about gender equality. I'm a little bit into politics as well right now, and trying to bring some reflection over the table about the disparity in women and men lives, and how can we do it, how can we change it, and how can we make Portugal and the world a better place for everybody. It's one of my main goals.
Brilliant. Yeah, and don't be afraid. Let's dive straight into politics. I'm always interested in politics. I think it's so important.
Well, we all should be, because being alive is a political issue, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, in many respects, it's sort of forced upon us, and I have a very powerful and beautiful wife, Rita, and she's a very strong woman, and I love her very much. And she was yesterday, Sunday, going to the polls.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion in the morning. She was like, I just don't know which way to vote. And I was saying, well, it's not at the moment that isn't really sort of democracy, because you just have two options. You don't have the option that you would probably wish to vote for,
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, yesterday wasn't about conviction, right, on the person itself, but it was about, what do you want for your future? You want to live in a democracy or not? So, and most of the people vote for a democratic country, which is, great. It gives me some hope in these really great times we are living all around the world and in Portugal as well, maybe in a different scale. But well, we should be worried, of course, the rising of right wing parties and these fascist narratives. It's quite concerning. And as a woman, of course, it's double concerning. And but when we think about these presidentials, just it's a good example of gender disparity in Portugal and the lack of women representation. So we have a republic for more than 100 years in Portugal. We live in a democracy for more than 50 years, and we never had a woman as a president. Actually, it was only the fifth woman running for this role in Portugal. Um, and the first one we had, it was in 86, and it took 30 years to have a second one trying to run for this position. Uh, and even this year, we had 11 candidates and only one woman, which was like Catarina Martins is like an amazing, amazing professional. She has more than 20 years experience. She's uh, in the European Parliament right now. And but for most of the people, it was again okay. She's good professional, but it's not the time yet. So my question is, when it will be the time to have a woman in a major role in Portugal when it comes to politics? So we don't have a prime minister, we don't have a president. The only time we had a prime minister, which was a woman, uh, it wasn't by votes. It was a really, really short period. Um, so there's a lack of women, of female representation in politics, even with some public policies we have to try to change this. But still, we still have this lack of representation. When you don't have female representation, of course, the concerns, the specific concerns of women's lives won't be represented. And that's something that we really need to change. Okay, it's not a fight about on women and men. It's not about revenge. It's just about trying
Represent.
to have a country where, well, the the rights and obligations, the freedom, the opportunities, and the dignity in all spheres of life. It's for everybody, and not a matter of privilege
Well,
uh, by gender.
and I'm with you on that one because I'm I grew up and a lot of my family success in terms of finance anyway was because of Margaret Thatcher. She was a very strong prime minister
Mm.
in the UK, and we also had a really nice. Unfortunately, she passed away. We had the Queen of England. I mean,
Mhm.
you can look at this figure in several different ways, but for me personally, she was a constant. She was a sort of a point of reflection of female, you know, a role
You
model
might you might
anyway.
not agree with their,
Royalism or yeah.
yeah, you might not agree even with their choices, even with the way they think. I think with Margaret Thatcher, well, a lot of people don't really agree.
Hmm, hmm.
But at the same time, there's a symbolic thing about you having a woman in that kind of role that opens the door to little girls, to other women, to think that it can be their place as well. And that is something that is really hard to talk about because, well, of course, in terms of the law, in terms of access to education, well, women are there, right? We can be the owners of a company. Of course, we can access to politics. But inside our mentalities, there's something that tell us that is really not our place yet, you know? And the more you have this kind of strong gender women uh, role models, probably you will start opening more and more the door for more little girls, more young women, more women, just like me on my 40s, to believe, okay, maybe I can run to this position. No, maybe I really deserve, maybe I'm qualified because what you do, well, you have so many amazing women, super qualified in Portugal, that it really amazes me. Like in more than 100 years of Republic, you can't say that you never had a woman that was qualified enough and professional enough to be in this kind of position. Uh, so we got to think about that as well. I think it's about changing mentalities, and you only change mentalities when you start seeing women in this kind of positions. The 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 the, the president we have right now, it's about to finish his mandate. Um, he said something that really made me think about that. We will only have true gender equality when for women it would be allowed to fail the same way it is for men.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
about
true.
reaching the place, it's about reaching the place and being able to fail, and still you can have another woman next, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So, well, we still have a long, long way to go to get there.
yeah. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit because I apologize. This is not necessarily how I think, but I'm perhaps sort of coming from the other side of the argument. And, and I do believe in many ways that it's very important that we have the best person for the
Oh,
role.
of course. Well, no, of course. That
That's very important.
I totally agree with you. It's not like when you think about politics and you think about this election, it's not only about being a woman, of course. I wouldn't vote for all women running for this position. You really need to have someone that has the skills to do this position. But when you have like 11 men and one woman, no, 10 men and one woman running for this position, and you have at least one man, like the president that which was elected past Sunday. Well, of course, he has the skills for doing it, but you also had a woman that had the skills for doing it. My choice is to vote for the woman. Why? Because I really want to open the door for other women in the future being able to access this kind of power as well. So, of course, if she wasn't qualified, if she wasn't a democratic politician, I wouldn't vote for her only because she was a woman. It's not about that, you know? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
being blind about voting in a woman or taking women to a uh, like administration in a big company. No, no. You got to be a woman and you got to be qualified. But we have this big bias, sometimes quite unconscious, you know, that when you have to choose between a woman and a man, well, all the story, all the way you were socialized, all the way you learn how to live in a society tells you, well, power is a male thing. Internally, it's in all of us, women and men. It's not about only men thinking like this. No, sometimes I really need to correct myself on my bias in a daily
mm,
basis, actually, because it's super internalized that, well, power is for men and women are more about taking care, are more the domestic roles. But, well, I believe that a man can also be a caregiver.
yeah,
I believe that a man has the same skills for cleaning their house as a functional adult, right? Or taking care of their kids. Well, women doesn't well, we are not born with a domestic gene, you know. It's
yeah,
something about the way we are socialized over life, so all over during our lives. So it's normal that you have this bias with you when you need to make choices. Something inside you takes you to choose men. So what I try to do in a very, very conscious way is if I have a qualified man and a qualified woman, um, I I choose the woman. That's it.
okay. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it might be that it might be my outlook is kind of not like that. I don't know whether it's because of my particular upbringing or maybe it's a Portuguese perspective. I mean, I had a kind of a weird upbringing. I was sort of English parents and a little bit of time in English boarding schools, but also I grew up in Saudi Arabia and later
Mhm,
worked in Saudi Arabia, which is like the complete opposite of what you would imagine as women's freedom.
mhm,
Um, and interestingly enough, in Saudi Arabia, what you see now is a lot of empowerment of women. What happened is a little bit of a story there because they were so suppressed and so controlled by for the male dominant figures in the family.
mhm,
A lot of the time, the women were given opportunities for education, and they were sent abroad to university because it was safer to have them in universities outside of Saudi Arabia, so that they wouldn't get in trouble and bring shame to the family. The irony of that is that these women became so educated and worldly, they returned to Saudi, and there were major investments in some of the big banks, and they began to develop all this wealth and unity. And in Saudi, they're a real force, which is super interesting. So almost kind of that repression created like an explosion of their abilities and power structure, which was quite an interesting development. And as you can see, Saudi now has kind of opened up more. There is more females. I'm certainly not here advocating Saudi Arabia, and there's still a long way to go.
It's not a great general policy example.
No, it's a long way to go, but we can look at it from that perspective that there has been great changes from one extremity to
But you can also relate
along the other way.
Gender inequality, of course, is transversal to all society, but when people can break like these glass ceilings, you have a lot of how can I say this? There's a lot of economical privilege as well in the process. Of course, these women can break these gender roles and be a part of this change in society because they had the opportunity, the economical privilege to flew from their countries, study abroad, having a different education, and then returning with a lot of skills and a lot of other perspective of the society, and the society would look at them in a different way as well. If you are a poor woman, it's not your reality. If you talk with a poor woman in Saudi Arabia, much probably she won't tell you that story, right? It will be much different.
She wouldn't even be allowed to.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. That's it. She wouldn't even be allowed to talk to you. So, of course, it's amazing that women with economical privilege can break the glass ceiling. And, well, you got to start.
If you haven't already switched to Revolut, now is the perfect time. I use Revolut Personal to manage my everyday money, spending, saving, sending across borders. You can hold over 30 currencies, transfer internationally at great rates, and even earn daily interest on your savings. It's smart, fast, and used by more than 60 million people worldwide. And if you run a business, Revolut has even more powerful solutions. Revolut Business gives you a global account built for growth, multi-currency accounts, team cards, spending controls, international transfers, and easy ways to get paid. It's streamlined, affordable, and designed to scale with your business. Here's the best part. Sign up for Revolut Personal with my link below and join me on one of the most advanced money apps available. And if you're a founder or a business owner, use my Revolut Business referral link and get your first month with no subscription fees. Whether it's for your personal finances or your business, Revolut has you covered, all in one place.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. So we're almost getting somewhere in this conversation because a lot of the frustration I have with politics and politicians is it's a lot of talk and a lot of like getting people into power and then sort of what actually happens, where and I think right now we're sort of getting a little bit to the core of some of the things that politicians could respond to and to help. We're talking about like choices. We're talking about access to education. We're talking about the equality of choices. So a woman could get the education that she deserves and on an equal front from everybody else. And I'm not talking about just Portugal. I'm talking about worldwide.
Well, what
this
we are
gives
seeing
choice.
all over the world is you are going back on women's rights. you are going back in the investment on gender equality policies, and you are going back on the prevention of gender-based violence, and well, all these far right parties want to bring back the woman as a
Mm.
in the domestic sphere, and I think it's all about maintaining the status quo. And the more and more you keep education far from the populations, the more you can control them, right?
Mm.
It's always about control. When you talk about gender inequality, it's about control. It's about status quo. It's about someone who is really winning money over this, is having more power. Um, so I think it's everything related. And nowadays in politics, when you see that the parliament's full of these far right people, of course you are awoke when you try to bring the discussion about the law related to gender equality, to um, education, to I don't know. It's quite a disturbing time,
Mm.
because in Portugal we were quite pioneers in the past 10 years, about 10 years, on making laws. Well, let me say about LGBT rights, for instance. We were pioneers, and we had a strong investment on fighting domestic violence. We had a great investment about bringing sexual education for schools. And right now, like, the government changes, the country turns right. The right, like the classic right, is not only a classic right; it's becoming a very conservative right, shaking hands with the far right.
Mm.
And suddenly, they don't even want to use the words LGBT at schools. They say it's like gender ideology, which is like something that doesn't even exist. It's
Mm. Mm.
it's an expression that was made up by the church, and then uh, became quite strong with these far right parties. Uh,
Well, I think.
it's really weird when you see that a country that has been a pioneer bringing these policies for public discussion, and approving laws that were quite progressive, like in a matter of 1 year, it's like you are going back with all of that, and
Mm.
and you are having a new generation of kids that is being dramatically influenced by that. It's not a
You think they are? Do you think they are?
Oh, yeah. When you see these, I think you've heard about the manosphere, right? When everybody watched the TV series Adolescence,
Mm.
knows what I'm talking about. And
Mm.
it's not only a fantasy of a TV series, that is the reality. And I go a lot to schools and I talk with young kids, like from 10 to 18. And I really see how hard it's becoming for them to talk with each other, girls and boys. And I really see these radical conservative thoughts that young boys are having. And I really see how they are being manipulated over these male influencers that actually are used as a trampoline to radicalize these kids into far right parties. In the way they see masculinity, uh, and they can't really understand that they are not really free on this perspective of being a male like that. They need to follow a script as well, right? uh, there are a lot of societal norms and conceptions of masculinity and expectations for men as leaders and aggressive, and they really can't trust on women, and women now, they are like, how can I sorry, my English in the morning is not the best.
No, it's great. It's great.
Justin, you should talk Portuguese.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
would
I
be
should.
much
I
better.
should. But my listeners wouldn't
No.
understand. Yeah.
No, but well, you see, uh, women and girls as the other side of the barricade. You see them as a trouble. You
Mm.
see as the how can I resume this? Like, for these think about this. For these young boys, when they look back and they think about they have, imagine they have a sister or a girlfriend. You are 18 and you have a girlfriend, and you think, okay, my girlfriend has much more rights and privileges than her mom and her grandmother had. Well, she has a voice. She can say no. She can study. She can be ambitious about her future. But when they think about themselves right now, they feel that they are not having uh, such an easy life in terms of power and in terms of social position as their fathers and their grandfathers. And they feel I'm losing my rights. But they are not losing rights, Justin. They are losing privilege, which is a completely different story. But what you can see in Manosphere with all these influencers like Andrew Tate and all these disturbing guys is that they really make these kids believe that they are losing rights and it's women's fault. So you gotta destroy women. And they really teach these kids how to be violent with women. And it's not only about being violent, it's I will give you a big applause if you show me that you are being violent to a girl or to a woman. So if you share in these Telegram groups some images of you beating a
Really? This is going on?
yes, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
completely
they will
ignorant of
applaud
this.
you and they say, "Wow, you are really being a great male.
It's
This is how a
how
male should
Saudi
behave."
was 10 years ago, 20
Yeah, so
years.
it's really disturbing because there's a lot of literature about this. The academy has been studying these groups for years now, and actually, who analyzes gender equality dynamics, it's really, really, really concerned about this reality because it's growing, and it will take ages again
Mm,
to to give these kids a different perspective because they are really being brainwashed, you know. So they really believe that being a male is being someone that is really aggressive, a lack of emotions. Of course, they can't be homosexuals. No, most they gotta be white to be like a dominant male. So all the script, it's disturbing, um, but
mm,
it's real. This is really, really happening. So when you see the numbers of violence in relationships of young people, it's a rising of violence.
yeah, yeah, that's really
So
scary.
it's everything is connected, you know. And when you don't have governments that stop this, one of the ways to stop this is education. Of course, you gotta have educational programs in every school. It can't be a privilege of just a few because they are in this school that is actually quite committed to gender equality. No, it needs to be global
Mm,
because what these kids learn today, they will bring to their future, and it will still have these disturbing numbers of gender-based violence. Well,
yeah,
most of women, the most dangerous for a woman to be right now as we speak is their own house, is the place where women are more killed all over the world. And by whom? By the men that supposedly love them. So we got to really think about it. It's not a really like even sexual aggressions. It's not by some stranger in the streets, like a really ugly guy. People really have this stereotype. Okay, like someone that rapes a woman is a bad guy. It's ugly guy, a guy that is not really into society. No, most of the times it are the fathers, the husbands, the teachers, someone women trust.
mm. So we really need to be teaching the kids, the boys. We need them to be look. Stop being easily manipulated. Let's
Yeah,
create
yeah.
a strong conscious that you're looking at opinions of, we don't want to suppress the freedom of expression and of the rights
No,
to
no, no,
speak.
no, no. Not
We
at
can
all.
let
Not at all.
let these far right guys and I had a conversation with Afonso Gonçalves. You probably don't want to know him or don't know him
No,
because
not at
yeah, and I'm not going to mention from where he is. And I haven't released the podcast. We recorded it 2 months ago, but I found like what we talked about was so disturbing because he
Yeah.
believes in this
Yeah.
whole kind of Catholic family and women should be in the home and da 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 da. And the whole thing on
No, the thing, it
LGBTQ
promotes
is
violence. It
completely
really promotes violence, which
yeah
is it's a dangerous person.
yeah
It's,
yeah.
and the thing is,
But
young boys really need
young
to
boys
know.
need to see them as that. They need to look up to these guys and go, "This guy is
Yeah,
completely
but
crazy."
there's something. Sometimes I feel guilty about it because I've been an advocate for gender equality, for women empowerment for many years now,
Mm.
and in these during all these paths, what I've been thinking is that we took a lot of our times empowering young women, which was amazing. And that's why women now, they know this is not right. I have the right to say no. I know, well, young women are really, really more aware of what is
Yeah,
sexual
you can
harassment
talk
than I
about
was when I was
abuses and
20,
yeah,
right?
you can be open and talk about abuses. You can report abuses, which
Yeah.
shouldn't
So they are
remain.
more informed. They are more empowered. They really believe that their future can be much different than it was with me when I was 15, 20, 25. But at the same time, we excluded the young boys from this process because we said, okay, they have the privilege, so they don't need to be into this conversation. And no, they should have been. They should have been because this is, of course, it's about empowering women, but you also need to empower males for a different masculinity out of the traditional script you had for decades, for centuries, right? Because it's a very confusing time for them. Well, where is my position right now? Because what is being a man right now? And we really need to have some empathy talking with these young kids, you know? And I think there's a lack of empathy. Most of the times we just say, okay, are you stupid? Can't you understand? This Andrew Tate is like just a. For me, it's, well, when I listen to something this kind of male influencers say, well, I have no doubts how stupid all of that narrative is. But for a young boy, that is kind of lost in who am I? Well, adolescence can be being a teenager is a nightmare,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You
I
need to
think we can
grip
all
on. You
agree.
need to grip onto something.
So
You sort of lose the parental influence when you're in sort of
yeah, and
early
the thing is,
teens, and
and most of us as parents, I don't know if you are a father or
yeah,
not.
I'm a
I have
father, young boy.
and, well, and I think okay, when we have them at home, we feel okay, they are safe, they are at home. But right now, they can be at home inside the supposedly safety of
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
houses, and we feel that we are controlling everything, and we are not because they are in their cell phones
Mm,
being influenced by these guys on TikTok and Telegram and everything. They are
mm.
inside their bedroom where we feel it's a safe place and it's not. And everything is happening inside our houses.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true, and it's algorithmic as well. So
Oh, yeah.
sometimes
Yes.
the less the things that you don't want your kid to see is probably more that they're going to see because of the
Oh,
way the
yeah. Yeah,
algorithm
yeah.
works, the
And
controversy.
they don't even need to go search for it, you know?
Yeah,
When I did my TikTok account, it was like 1 year ago. Sorry, I'm I'm not really into TikTok
No,
dancing,
I know. I
but I
don't even.
decided as I have a big presence in Instagram. I said, okay, maybe I could put my reels on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the first video that I saw, the first time I opened the TikTok, was a far right video from the party in Portugal. And of
Mm,
course, I started to okay, let me check, and I was watching and watching, and the content was coming to me. You know, I didn't really need to search for it.
yeah, interesting, interesting,
So and it's
and that
easy
we're
content, a lot of fake news, a lot of fake numbers. It's really a brainwash that is very strategic. You know,
exactly.
these groups are quite aligned. They do it in a strategic way. It's not a random thing. You know, these influencers are not random guys that are doing this individually. No, no, they are not. This is a network,
Mm,
and people really need to understand that.
yeah,
It's not a conspiracy, you know.
yeah.
It's not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's happening.
It's reality.
These
It's happening, and we need to be aware because this will influence our future for all of us. women and men. Because if these young guys believe they are totally free um, with the script they gave them, they are not. Actually, they are not. They are stuck in a role they need to do, and probably they won't be able to express their feelings. They won't be able to express their sexuality. They must probably end up in prison because what they are doing it's not legal. And we need to talk with these kids in a very empathetic way and try to show them, okay, they told you that it's women's fault. Let's talk about it and let's deconstruct this,
Hmm.
and let's talk about how can we what are your doubts, uh,
Yeah.
what makes you anxious, but in a very empathetic way. I think sometimes it's really hard because we feel angry, and of course we are not machines, we are human, and we have the right to feel angry and frustrated as well. But man, being a teenager is quite frustrating. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we really need to be empathetic with them.
Yeah, we need to help them be aware, we need to help them balance. We need to help them sort of look at different ideas and deconstruct them and formulate your own ideas, but also understand that your own ideas are not going to be perfect. They may need
Yeah,
to be molded
and
again in 10 years, 20 years. Um,
and being the example for them,
yeah,
because most of us, we talk a lot about this, but then we are the first ones to being inside our cell phones while we are at home,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And we are so, well, we live in the speed of light professionally nowadays because our emails are popping in on our cell phone, and it's really hard to balance
Hmm.
uh, work and the conciliation about work and family and separate the times. It's really hard right now, and most of the times, well, we just don't really understand that we are being part of the problem. We are not giving the best examples, and we are not giving them what they really need the most. It's our time, our patience, and being the mature people in the room, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, Paula, always fascinating conversation. And how can people sort of find out a little bit more about these subjects and go into a little bit more depth and reading and following you and you
Well,
mentioned
yeah,
your
I try to
Instagram and
bring this kind of contents in a very pedagogic way. I
yeah,
think we need to stop yelling with each other,
uh-huh,
and we need to talk.
yeah,
Most of all, we need to talk, agree and disagree, to listen. It's something that people really need to do nowadays. Stop and listen for a while, please.
yeah,
People want to talk and to be louder than the other ones. No, just stop, have nice conversations, agree and disagree, listen to other perspectives, try to learn with each other's uh, perspectives and experiences. And of course, try to find empiric information. That's what I try to do in my Instagram account.
hmm,
It's with my name, it's Paula Cosme Pinto. So
okay,
you can follow me. At the same time, I have two podcasts at Radio Comercial, which is like the most listened radio in Portugal. So it's easy to
brilliant,
find. It's called Género de Conversa.
okay,
We've been for 4 years now, bringing women weekly to talk about everything from maternity to political representation, from menopause to
yeah, yeah,
postpartum,
yeah, great,
everything. It's a good topic for to talk
amazing,
and to share ideas and perspectives. And we have the other one is called Outro Género de Conversa, where we bring only males to give
okay,
them the space to also talk
wow,
to us
nice,
about this
beautiful,
kind of topics that
what a great
usually men
idea,
are not allowed to talk.
great,
So you can find them on
that's
Spotify,
cool,
Apple, everything, and you can read me in places like Visão, Meios em Publicidade, Máxima. Well,
brilliant,
it's easy. Just Google me,
yeah.
and you will find a lot of information.
I'll
Some
I'll
I'm
go.
not really sure that I'm always right about what I write, but
Oh,
I
we
do
see
my
for
best.
it.
That's what
We
I
need
can
to
say.
add to the conversation. I'll leave all those links, everything in the show notes, so
Yeah.
that people can literally click into it and follow you and learn more. That's what we all need to do, people, is learn more and listen and love. Anna
Oh,
and
yeah,
Paula.
yeah.
Paula, how comes Anna again? That's crazy, right? Paula, thank you so much for your time.
Well,
really
Justin,
appreciate
it
it. Great
was
conversation.
so fast. Sorry, this topic
worries.
would be
Of
all
course.
day
Maybe
long.
we do it again another day, another time.
And congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let's do it. And, planning a trip to Portugal? Whether you're exploring Lisbon, surfing in Ediceto, or road tripping through the Alentejo, staying connected is essential. I use Airolo every time I travel, even on some surfboat trips, adventures to the Maldives. So when we connected to collaborate, I was really genuinely happy. Airolo's eSIMs give you instant data the moment you land in a foreign country. No queues, no physical SIM cards, just seamless, reliable coverage. Travel smarter, stay connected, download Airolo before your next adventure. Follow this link in the show notes to get connected today.
On geography, all the things I can learn without machine. I need some fuel, I need a monster now. I'm the last to come, the cloud. Won't you go, star friend? Don't let it get burned. Don't let it get burned. Don't let it get all the way downtown with a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck. I'm gonna level up all day. I'm stuck with March, the fellow man. It's keeping me from my romance, testing history. The mystery of the century. Stop the train, I'm getting out. Stop the train, I'm getting out. Stop the train, I'm getting out. Stop the train, I'm getting out of order. Out of order. Out of order. 1, 2, 3, we are living on a rock.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.